This video I have explained regarding the characteristics of an data stream, that is a continuous data stream, and the classification has been made based upon three factors. Those three factors are: first one is based upon the time interval, second one is based upon the quantity, that is the data volume of an consecutive data stream, and the third one is based upon the interrelationship between the consecutive data stream. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, gain the knowledge and rule the world. Share this video with your friends. Characterizing continuous media data streams. The characteristics for a data streams that occur in case of an multimedia systems in relation to audio as well as the video transmissions. Here we are going to describe the characteristics of an continuous media data stream by considering the effects of an compression methods that are applied to the data streams before they are transmitted. The classification whatever we are going to learn here or also applies to the distributed as well as the local environments of an continuous media data streams. Based upon the various properties of an data streams, we are going to classify the continuous data streams. Firstly, we consider the property of a data stream which relates to the time intervals between fully completed transmissions of an consecutive information units for an packets. That means here first we shall learn the classifications of an continuous data streams based upon time intervals. Based on the moment in which the packets becomes ready, we distinguish between the continuous data streams as strong data stream, weak data stream. That is a strong periodic data stream, weak periodic data stream, which is neither a strong or an weak periodic data stream. These three classification we are going to have based upon the time intervals between the fully completed transmission of an consecutive information units or the packets. Time interval between the consecutive information packets, we have three types: strong periodic data stream, weakly periodic data stream, and the third one is which is neither a strong nor an weakly periodic data stream. The first one, strong periodic data stream. When the time interval between the neighboring packets is constant, when the time interval between the neighboring packets is a constant, then this kind of a data stream is called as a strongly periodic data stream. In this case, it will be having a minimum jitter. That means ideally it will be equal to 0. How the time interval between the neighboring packets in case of a strongly periodic data stream, you can see in the below figure where the time interval is t, and which is the same for all the information packets. An example for a strongly periodic data stream is an PCM encoded. There is a pulse code modulation in case of a telephone system. For a voice, in case of a telephone system, it will be consisting of encodation methodology, and that is called as an PCM, pulse code modulation. It is a best example for a strongly periodic data stream where the time interval between the neighboring packets is constant. The time interval between the neighboring packets is a constant. Those kinds of data streams are called as a strongly periodic data stream. Is a weakly periodic data stream. In case of a weakly periodic data stream, the duration of a time interval between the neighboring packets or a neighboring information units is often described as a function with an finite period duration. However, whatever this period duration is there, that is the time interval is there, it is a not constant as in case of an strong periodic data stream in case of a neighboring packets. The time interval is not constant between the neighboring packets as in case of a strong periodic data stream, where it will be a constant time interval, whereas in case of an weekly periodic data stream it will be a finite period duration, and it will be expressed as a function. Right, the duration of a time interval between the neighboring packets is often described as a function with finite period duration is weekly periodic data stream. Here the time interval is not constant, it will be varying based upon a function, and that function will be a finite period duration. The diagram which we can see here is an example of an weekly periodic data streams. How the time intervals between the consecutive packets are periodic. You can observe T1, T2, T3, T1, again T2, again T3. Like that, it will be changing as a function with a finite period duration. Whereas in case of a strongly periodic data stream, this time interval will be constant. It will be a T for all the packets. For all the packets, the time interval will be same. Whereas in case of a weekly periodic data stream, it will be not same, but it will be same for a finite period duration, and the time interval will be always as a function. Will be always as a function with finite periodic duration. Category which is neither a strongly periodic data stream or an weekly periodic data stream, those are called as an aperiodic data stream, which relates to a sequence of a time interval duration as shown in this particular diagram. Here the time interval between the packets, means between the consecutive packets, will be aperiodic. It will be T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, like that up to Tn. It means for each of the packets, the time intervals will be varying. Those kinds of data transmissions are called as an weekly periodic data streams. In case of a strongly periodic data stream, the time interval will be constant. Whereas in case of a weekly periodic data stream, here the time interval will be expressed or will be described as a function with a finite duration. Whereas in case of an aperiodic data stream, the sequence of a time interval duration will be varying, and it is as shown in this particular diagram. It varies from T1 to Tn. Such a kind of an data stream where the time interval will be varying continuously is called as an aperiodic data streams. Example for an aperiodic data stream is a multimedia conference application with a common screen window. Whatever the applications we open on our desktop screen, those are the examples of an aperiodic data stream. If the information is transmitted periodically, it would cause an high data rate and extremely high redundancy. The ideal system should remain transmit only data within the active sessions that reflect change in either position or the status. The ideal system should transmit only data within the active sessions that reflect change in either position or the status. That means whenever you are going to make changes to an window screen, it should transmit a data. That means whenever we make a changes either in the position or in the status, then only it will be transmitting a data. And here you can observe that it will be not a constant and it will be changing. It depends upon how we are going to make the changes to the common screen window. Characteristic based upon which we are going to classify the consecutive data streams or the data volume. The next classification which we are going to do of an continuous data streams is based upon the data volume. Based upon the data volume, we are going to classify the data streams. And how the data quantity of an consecutive information units or an packets varies, we are going to classify them into three types: strong regular continuous data stream, weakly regular continuous data stream, and irregular data stream. Based upon the second characteristic, that is the data volume, we are going to consider the types of an data streams. Among that, the first one is an strongly regular data stream. If the quantity of an data remains constant during the entire lifetime of an data stream, then we speak of a strong regular data stream. That means in case of a strong regular data stream, the quantity of an data will be constant. The quantity of an data will be an constant during the entire lifetime of a data stream. Such a kind of a data stream is called as an strongly regular data stream, or simply strong regular data stream. In this diagram, you can observe a data stream which is of the kind strong regular data stream, or it is also called as an strongly regular data stream. This characteristic is typically for an uncompressed digital audio video stream. That means a best example for an continuous or a strongly regular data stream is the uncompressed digital audio video information. Uncompressed digital audio video information is an example for a strongly regular data stream. The practical examples are an full image encoded data streams, derived camera, or an audio sequence originating from an audio CD. These are the other practical examples for an strongly regular data stream. Here in the figure you can observe that the quantity of a data stream is same, that is the D1, 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 and it is during the entire lifetime, and that entire lifetime is T, right? If the quantity of a data remains constant during the entire lifetime of a data stream, then such a data stream is called as a strongly regular data stream. Second classification based upon the data volume for an continuous data stream is weakly regular data stream. If the quantity of a data varies periodically over a time, then such a kind of a data stream is called as an weakly regular data stream, which you can observe in this particular image or a figure. D1, D2, D3, again D1, D2, D3, means over a time interval the data volume is changing. By a time interval of T, it is changing D1, D2, D3. These are the various kinds of data volume, and it is changing over a periodic time. Such a kind of a data stream is called as a weakly regular data stream. If the data does not vary over an time interval, then it is called as an strongly regular data stream. If the quantity of a data varies periodically over an time interval, then it is called as an weakly regular data stream. Example for a strongly regular data stream is uncompressed images, audio and video information, whereas examples for a weakly regular data stream is compressed images, audio and video informations which we will be transmitting. Some video compression methods will be using a concept of encoding and compressing the full images individually. Some video compression methods will use a concept which will be encoding as well as compressing and full images individually. The resulting information unit will be relatively a large data packet in a data stream. Because of the encoding and the compression technology which has been used, the resulting packet, whatever is there, that packet will be a large data packet while passing a data stream. For the reasons of simplicity, we will be not considering the packet length which is limited during the transmission. We are not going to consider the packet length, we are just considering the volume of the packet, and because the time variation whatever is there of an packet length will be changing, for simplicity we are not considering the packet length which is limited during the transmission. Depending upon the communication layer, it will be varying based upon the packet length. For simplicity we are not considering the packet length, just we are considering the data volume of each of the packets. These packets are transmitted periodically, example every 2 seconds. That means at every 2 seconds we will be transmitting the data packets. For all the images between two single images of a video stream, the differences between two consecutive images each form the information that is actually transmitted. For all the images between two single images of a video stream, whatever the differences we get between two consecutive images will be forming the information that is actually transmitted. Third one is irregular data stream. The data streams that are called irregular or when the data quantity, that is the data volume, is neither a constant or not changing over a periodic function or an periodic time interval, then such kind of an data streams are called as an irregular data stream. Data streams are called as an irregular data streams when the data quantity is neither constant or not changing by a periodic function. This data stream is more difficult to transmit as well as process when compared to an strong regular data stream and weakly regular data stream. The below figure shows an example of an irregular data stream where the data packets, means the packets volume is not constant, it is also not varying periodically. As you can observe in the diagram, it is a D1, D2, D3. After that some gap is there, again it is D4, D5, D6 up to Dn. Like that it will be varying. It is not same. It is not constant or it is not changing over a periodic time. Then such kind of an data stream is called as an irregular data stream. When we will come across an irregular data stream, when applying a compression method which will be creating a data stream with an variable bit rate, the size of the single information unit or an packet of an each individual image is determined from the image content that has changed in respect to the previous image. That means when we apply the compression method for an image, each of the images will be having the variation of an data volume as compared to the previous image. The size of the resulting information unit normally depends upon the video sequence and the data stream is irregular. The size of the resulting information units normally depends upon the video sequence and the data stream is called as an irregular. When we apply the compression methods for the video sequences, the images size will be varying based upon the image content, and we can compare the images. The size of the resulting information units which will be different that and data stream when we apply those images on an video sequences, then such kind of a data stream is called as an irregular data stream. Relationship of consecutive packets. The third criteria or a third property or a third qualification which we are going to consider to classify the continuous data stream is the continuity or the relationship between the consecutive packets. That means when the packets will be transformed, the relationship between those packets, that means how they are transferred, whether they are transferred continuously or there is a gap between the packets. Based upon that, we are going to have an classifications, and those classifications are called as an interrelationship of consecutive packets. Are the packets transmitted progressively or there is a gap between the packets? Based upon this, we are going to have a classification, and we can describe these characteristics by looking at how the corresponding resource is utilized. One such kind of an resource is the network. Based upon the network which we are going to use, the packets which we are going to transmit, they might be transmitted continuously or they might be transmitted with a gap between the packets. Though based upon those things, we are going to have a classification. Those kinds of classifications are called as an interrelationship of consecutive packets. Relationship of consecutive packets will be of two types. So one is an interrelated data stream packets which will be transmitted without any gaps. Another one is an interrelated data stream packets which are transmitted with gaps. One, there is no gap, and another case there will be a gap. First we shall see about interrelated data stream packets which will be transmitted without gaps in between. The following figure which you can see here shows an interrelated information transfer. All the packets are transmitted one after the another without gaps in between. That means there is a continuous transmission of packets one after the another, and there is no any gap in between the transmission of the packets. Additionally, or on layer independent information to identify the user data is included, and such a kind of an data which we are going to include is an example is an error detection code. This means that a specific resource is utilized at 100%. An interrelated data streams will allow maximum throughput and achieves optimum utilization of the resource. An ISDN-B channel that transmits audio data at an 64 kilobits per second is a good example for an interrelated data stream packets which are transmitted without gaps in between. The packets which are transmitted over a network without any gaps are called as an interrelated data stream packets, or transmitted without gaps in between. Additionally, while transmitting, we will be using an additional layer or a layer independent information to identify the user data, and such an user data will be such an additional layer is EDC, that is an error detection code. That error detection code will be added along with the data while transmitting the packets over a network. While using this kind of transmission, the resource will be utilized 100%, and there will be a maximum throughput, and it will be achieving the optimum utilization of the resource. Interrelationship of an consecutive packets. If the transmission of an interrelated data stream over a higher capacity channel causes gaps between the packets, then those kinds of data streams are called as a non-interrelated data stream. When we are transmitting an interrelated data stream over a higher network, it will be causing or it will be making gaps between the packets. Then those kinds of data streams are called as an non-interrelated data stream. Non-interrelated data streams are nothing but the transmission of an interrelated data stream which will be having gaps between the packets. The following figure which is present below in this particular image shows an example of a non-interrelated data stream which are having gaps between the packets. You can observe there is a gap between D2 and D3. For simplicity, we have shown only a one gap. Like that, it can have many number of gaps. The gap can be between a one packet, or it can be between two packets, or it can be between three gaps, or it can be between three packets, or it can be between 2, 4, like that. But there should be a gap. If there is a gap, then it is a non-interrelated data stream. An example of a non-interrelated data stream is a transmission of a data stream which has been encoded by using an DVI-PLV method over a network, and such a kind of a network is called as an FTDI network. The average rate, or it is a bit rate transmission of 1.2 megabits per second, will lead inherently to gaps between some packets in the transit. Means while transmitting a data stream, if you are using an transmission bit rate of 1.2 megabits, then it will make sure that the gaps will appear between the data packets. And here, while considering a non-interrelated data stream, we are not worried about whether or not there are gaps between all the packets, or whether the duration of the gap varies. Here we are just concerned whether there is a gap. If there is no gap, then it is an interrelated data stream. If there is a gap, it is a non-interrelated data stream. In this video, I have explained regarding characteristics of a continuous data stream, and here we have classified the continuous data stream based upon three factors or three characteristics. Those are, one is based upon the time interval, second one is based upon the data, that is a volume, and the third one is based upon the interrelationship between the consecutive packets. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends, gain the knowledge and rule the world.